Hello, hello. I warmly welcome you, my dear ones, to another discussion where we will talk this time about warming in Western Europe, in Central Europe, and also in Eastern Europe. The gust of warm air will be associated with the depression, which has already been named by DWD. This is the Sigrid depression. This depression will cause a storm in the UK and Ireland. But on the other hand, it will drive warm air towards Central Europe, so I warmly invite you to this discussion. At the moment of recording this discussion here on Thursday in the afternoon, we see over Europe, primarily we see the depression. We see one of the depressions located somewhere to the east of Canada, another to the east of Greenland, and these depressions, my dear, will merge soon. They will combine into one depression, which will be the Sigrid depression. This Sigrid depression will then deepen significantly and will move towards Ireland and then towards the UK, but it will also affect us here as strongly as possible. Therefore, my dear, we move on and we'll start the discussion to see what will happen here in this discussion. So let's start by moving to the DWD image. Here is the barometric situation for tomorrow, that is for Friday. We already have the Sigrid depression formed with a pressure of 990 HPA. This depression will still be over the Atlantic Ocean, and warm air will be moving in the area of the warm air sector that will head towards the UK. Cool air from the north will be flowing in, and this cold atmospheric front will be catching up with the warm atmospheric front hour by hour. Having said that, my dear, indeed, let's move on. We have barometric systems here in the windy app. At a height of 0 to 2 meters above sea level, this is the state on Thursday. And over Western Europe, around France, we already have a depression. The depression, which is a depression bringing snowfall, this depression will be moving north. And here we have the two depressions we talked about earlier, and these two depressions will be moving towards each other to merge on Friday probably, and here to become the main depression. Let's check when this merger would occur. On Friday, around 1, 2, or 3 p.m., these depressions would merge into the Sigrid depression, which would then head towards Great Britain and Ireland. Let's take a closer look at it. On Friday night, the pressure of this depression would be 965 hectopascals, but by Saturday morning, this pressure would drop significantly. 938 hectopascals, very low pressure. We have here the calculation from the ECMWF model, so we mark the ECMWF model and write 938 HPA. Let's then check the calculation from the GFS model. Let's see how the GFS model sees 940 HPA, so a 2 HPA difference, 30 HPA, so a 2 HPA difference. Let's also check the calculation from the ICON model, which should already see this situation. And here we have 937 HPA, so the calculations from the numerical models are unfortunately consistent for the United Kingdom and Ireland. For this area, unfortunately, very strong wind gusts are expected, which we will also discuss. When it comes to wind gusts, the greatest threat in terms of wind gusts will be in Ireland and the United Kingdom. When it comes, my dears, about wind times, here at greater risk in terms of wind gust times will be in Ireland and Great Britain. Wind gusts will be in Ireland and Great Britain in economic. The wind gusts can be really strong. Let's indeed check what wind gusts the Sigrid depression may potentially bring. And we see that this depression will move closer to Ireland on Friday. On the night from Friday to Saturday, the western coasts of Ireland will experience wind gusts of up to 80, 90 or 100 km/h. The center of this depression will be to the west, constantly over the Atlantic Ocean, while the strongest wind gusts will be within the cold. Atmospheric fronts can reach speeds of up to 135, 136 km per hour, even up to 140 km per hour west of the UK. On the western coast of the UK and Ireland, gusts can reach 100 or 110 km per hour. Look at what is happening here in the calculations. On Sunday morning between the UK and Iceland, wind gusts in the center of this low can reach up to 160 km per hour. It shows this here, for example, in this calculation. Let's check again. How much? 160 to 170 km per hour. So the gusts there will be really very strong. Let's check and compare the wind gusts for all three numerical models. Let's start with the icon model. I am currently selecting the wind strength, and we are interested in what will happen until 24. Let's check how it will look approximately. So we see where the strongest wind gusts will occur. In this calculation, I will go back to 22 once again. And the strongest wind gusts, according to the icon model calculations, the most dangerous situation according to these calculations is primarily in the UK, Ireland, and then in southern Iceland, but also over the Atlantic Ocean. Here, the wind gusts will be the strongest. Let's compare this with the GFS model. In the case of the GFS model, the strongest wind gusts should also be in this area, the western coast of Ireland, with very strong wind gusts, locally up to 110 km per hour, and the southwestern coast of the UK at 100-120 km per hour, so very similar in marking. The CMWF models show a similar situation, although here the wind gusts reach 100-110 km per hour. The Atlantic Ocean looks the worst here, and the gusts will be the strongest there. Having said all this, my dear friends, let's move on to the calculations that are in Poland. Let's start, my dear friends, with the geopotential field at an altitude of 5.5 kilometers, as this is very important to see what is really happening. The depression will deepen and move over Great Britain from the Atlantic Ocean to the north, to the north of Great Britain, moving with a pressure of 954 HPA, and then it will dissipate over the North Sea. This is good news for us, as we will not have such strong wind gusts as previously shown. However, we will have a warm burst. I know that some prefer warmth, while others prefer coolness, but this is roughly how it will look. The low will begin to deepen only over the Atlantic Ocean, so it will be located somewhere in this area. Warm air will be moving slightly from the south towards the north. It is very clearly visible here. I hope these arrows are more readable than what I drew earlier, and that it will be a bit faster. On the other hand, cool air from the north will flow, among other things, towards Europe. This warm wave of air, which here it is visible on Saturday, and it will continue to move towards Western Europe, then Central Europe, and finally to Eastern Europe. Let's check how it will look in the next calculation, specifically here on the 24th, as this date is obviously the most significant in this context. And it will look something like this. The center of this low-pressure system will be approaching the British Isles. It will still be located to the west of the British Isles. Warm air will flow here in a wide stream, including to Poland. Other than to Poland, there the temperatures will be the highest, while on the other hand, cool air will flow from the north, moving in the direction we also see here. So the cool air will follow the warm air, meaning this warmth won't last long, but we will feel it on November 24th, 25 and 26. Steve, the 20th, the viewer, combinations 25 Ras, November 26th, though such a mishmash, 25 Ras, November 26th.